Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about that specific degree that you've heard me mention before. There's a particular degree that I've noticed when slow-moving planets cross over it, catastrophic events many times occur. And I see where Jupiter is about to connect with this degree again. But aside from that, there's also got to be some other big events that are happening astrologically to create a catastrophic event. And I thought I might show you some of the time periods and what was going on in the charts. I thought you might find it as fascinating as I do. But most of all, what it's about, because I have seen catastrophic events. And this degree marking is actually 24 degrees, but particularly I've seen it many times 23 degrees of Taurus. And this is in the Pleiades, which is really a sensitive place in the heavens. And I've talked about this many times. I mean, it deals with the 7 weeping sisters, the Pleiades. And why were they weeping? It had a lot to do with the myth that said that they betrayed their husbands. And because of this, they were punished. But it's also in the myth that they were falsely accused of this. So how can this relate to what's going on today? I'll leave that up to you. But there's a lot of things that are going on where in the media, people are being accused of things. And maybe this is relative to your own life. It always is, as above, so below. So what does that mean? What's happening out there to the masses in the universe is reflected within each and every one of us. We have something connected with what's going on with the greater whole in the inner self. So let me go ahead and bring up these charts. But before I do, I want to remind everyone to go to my website, galacticcenter.org. Sign up for my free newsletter. You'll get it weekly. As well as check out my Patreon. If you want to be in a community of like-minded spiritual souls, join our club here. It's amazing. I meet weekly with everyone. As well as my Galactic Planner out. My Galactic Planner will take your chart, calculate it individually for you, tell you what's going on daily. And if you sign up now, you get a free month. It's worth a try. And don't forget, I'm starting my school over semester 1. It's a self-paced school. You can go at your own leisure. But everyone loves when I start semester 1 when they're beginning the university, and that starts this month. So go to universityofvedicastrology.com. All right, so let's get going here. Let's look at these 2 very significant charts that I have noticed. And one thing that I was studying a lot was the bombing of Pearl Harbor. This, let's look at the chart. So I have this in 1941. And I studied this chart forever in terms of trying to figure out what was in this chart that caused this event. And it was one of the hardest charts for me to figure out. But what I did figure was I kept seeing 23 degrees of Taurus. Now, I must say there's a fixed star there called Rigel. And Rigel is actually a fixed star of wealth and money and success. It's like, great. I did a whole class on Rigel because even if you go back and look back, I have videos on the fixed stars in my YouTube channel. You can watch the one on Rigel. And if you have planets around 23, 24 degrees of Taurus or Scorpio, then this promotes great wealth in your chart. And I have seen this work in so many billionaires' charts. So that degree mark is specific. And to be honest with you, I don't know why Rigel, and what Rigel would have to do, but it has something to do with this position ticking off these major events. So looking at this chart, look at Jupiter at 23 degrees of Taurus. Now, another important thing to note is Uranus is there in Taurus. Hadn't been in Taurus. It's in Taurus right now, but it hadn't been there since the 40s. It initiated in the 40s. That was the last time Uranus went into that sign. It circles through the zodiac every 84 years. So you can see why I keep predicting this is a time of violence and war ahead, because this is predicted by Uranus. And Jupiter was there with Uranus. This looks like we could be attacked around the world. I'm not quite sure if it's happening. I think it's probably in the US. I mean, it looks that way. Yes. And another thing about this chart that I couldn't help but notice is where Rahu and Ketu are. They sit at 24 degrees. Ketu is in Aquarius and Rahu is in Leo. And what bothers me is that right now, through July and August, Saturn sits there, 24 degrees of Aquarius. And it's, yes, practically the whole month. It is there. It sits there. So this is a sensitive degree. So what is actually happening here is Jupiter sits at the midpoint of the nodal axes in this chart. But Saturn is active in that degree position. So that's the most important thing I see here, especially Jupiter and Uranus being together in Taurus. Now Saturn is there in this chart. Remember, I was just talking about where Saturn is right now, that it kind of aligns with some degree positions in this chart, so don't get confused. I'm not talking about Saturn being in Aquarius in this chart. I mean, Saturn is 24 degrees of Aquarius in the sky in August, and that's what we need to know, because it is aspecting where Jupiter is going to be. And let me just tell you that Jupiter will be 23 degrees of Taurus from August 18th to the 25th. Okay? But what's going to tip it off is Mars. Mars is always a trigger. And Mars is going to conjunct Jupiter August 14th. It's going to be at 22 degrees of Taurus. But it will be exactly that. Mars will be 23 degrees of Taurus between August 15th to the 16th. So basically, let me just say, August 14th through the 25th is critical. This is where this 23 degree gets tipped off by Mars and Jupiter. So once again, August 14th, Jupiter and Mars will conjunct, but they'll be at 22 degrees. August 18th through the 25th, Jupiter will be at 23 degrees of Taurus, and August 15th through the 16th, Mars will be at that 23 degrees of Taurus. Okay, so keep following me here, because I'm going to show you another one where Jupiter sits at 23 degrees of Taurus. I found 3 charts actually that were crucial. The other one I'm going to show you right now is the Tiananmen Square massacre. Do you remember that in 1989? This happened June 4th, 1989. Look where Jupiter was, 23 degrees of Taurus. And there's some other planets there, but I really wanted you to get your eyes focused on that portion in Taurus. And so this happened in Beijing. So it doesn't have to just be in the United States that this degree marking ticks off people and events. Okay, so I have got 2 more important charts, I think. And the next 2 are really important because they also prove one of my theories that I've been talking about forever. And this theory works when Rahu and Ketu, Rahu goes into Gemini and Ketu goes into Sagittarius. Whenever the nodal axis goes into that portion of the zodiac, we have monumental events. And I traced it back many times, many years. So let me put up both these charts, just put them both up next to each other. One is the attack on Hiroshima. That was when the atom bomb was dropped on Japan. And this was August 5th of 1945. Okay, and what I want you to focus in on here is where Rahu is. It is right there in Gemini, like I said, and it doesn't help much that it's with Saturn either. And Ketu sits in Sagittarius. Now let me put up another chart right next to that. And this is 9/11, the attack on America. Notice where Rahu is in Gemini, and Jupiter's with it. Jupiter's been known to expand things, make them bigger. And opposed that is Ketu in Sagittarius. So notice that the nodes are exactly, now this happens every 18.5 years that the nodes go all the way around through all 12 signs of the zodiac. So what I found is that right in 2020, when I saw the nodes going back to Rahu in Gemini and Ketu in Sagittarius, I saw where they aligned with Mars being the trigger, and I noted it was like about the third week of February of 2020. And I kept saying a catastrophic event is going to happen that changes the world forever. And COVID hit. The whole world was in lockdown then. So that was COVID. Go back 18.5 years ago from that, and we had 9/11. Rahu and Ketu in the same positions. If you go back 18.5 years from 2001, you arrive around 1982. We had the AIDS virus. Then you go back 18.5 years from that, 1963, the Kennedy assassination. Then we go back I'm just going to go back one more time, and we're looking at the bombing of Hiroshima, 1945. 18.5 years from 1963, and look what happened. So you can see both of these charts where Rahu is in Gemini and Ketu is in Sag. But what else did I discover that was another triggering device here? Look at the Hiroshima attack. Uranus sits at 23 degrees of Taurus, and Mars is there, triggering the event, and Mars sits at 15.5 degrees of Taurus, right on the fixed star Aldebaran, opposing the star of war Antares. And this is going to be happening in August, that Mars is crossing over in early August, that degree mark, around August 4th. So it's going to be on Aldebaran around 16 degrees of Taurus. And remember, Antares is exactly opposite 16 degrees of Scorpio. So Uranus sits at that critical degree, again, 23 degrees of Taurus. And if you look up at September 11th, Saturn sits at almost 21 degrees of Taurus. So I gave that parameter that whenever planets cross into around 20 to 23 degrees of Taurus, look out, we have some critical events that are developing that are very dangerous. Very dangerous. So this is what astrology is about, researching, going back historically to see what triggered certain events, and then we can make our predictions. So really, when I talk to people about astrology that really don't understand that it's a science, I tell them it's really the study of cycles. That's what this is. And it's very profound. We must watch certain degrees, going back to critical events, what caused them, so that we can better prepare for our future. That's what I use astrology for. And that goes personally as well as globally for world predictions. All right, so with that, I think you got my point here. We'll see what happens. And thank you for following me. But don't forget, my astrology school starts this month. So if you want to learn how to do this yourself, go to universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.